Adi screamed. Her hands trembled as she looked down at her belly, flat as ever. She had only been pretending, but what she saw in the mirror that morning made her heart stop. There was movement, real movement, under her skin. It was impossible. She was not pregnant. She had only tied a small pillow around her waist for weeks, pretending to carry a child just to win her husband back. But now her stomach was moving on its own. Something inside her was alive. She stumbled backward, knocking over the small wooden stool beside the bed. The clay water pot fell and shattered, water spreading across the floor like a silver snake. "Chinik," she cried. "What is happening to me?" Her breathing quickened, and sweat poured down her face. She lifted her blouse again, her belly twitched. It wasn't a spasm. It wasn't gas. It was something inside. She screamed again, louder this time, the sound echoing through the narrow streets of Ajigona. Outside, Mama Nena, the old neighbor who sold akara by the roadside, stopped frying and looked toward Adi's compound. "This girl again," she muttered. "What trouble has she brought upon herself this time?" Inside the small one-room apartment, Adis fell to her knees, crying. Her lie had become her nightmare. But how? What was growing inside her? And just before she fainted, she heard a whisper, soft, low, and coming from her own belly. "Why did you lie, Adis?" Her eyes rolled back in terror. Then everything went black. A few months earlier, Adis was a very different woman. She had a smile that could light up a room and a laugh that made even angry people calm. Her husband, Obina, used to call her "my sunshine." But love can fade, like morning dew under the Lagos sun. They had been married for 4 years, living in a small face-me-I-face-you compound in Ajigona. At first, things were good. They had dreams. Obina wanted to start a motor spare parts business, and Adis sold Ankara fabrics in Balegan market. But when the money troubles began, so did the quarrels. "Obina, you promised me we would move to a bigger place this year," Adis said one evening, folding her arms. Obina sighed. "And where do you want me to get the money from? You think business is easy in this Lagos?" "I am trying, Adis." "You are not trying enough," she shouted. "You spend all your time drinking with your useless friends at that beer parlor." "Oh. So now I am useless, eh?" "Okay, continue. One day you will talk to yourself." And that day came sooner than Adis thought. One morning, Obina packed a small bag, walked out of the house, and didn't return. He went to stay with another woman, a younger one from the next street named Ifinanya, who wore tight jeans and long wigs that smelled like imported perfume. The whole compound knew. People whispered behind Adis' back. "Chai, see fine woman like Adis. Her husband has gone after small girl," said Mama Nena. Adis cried for days. She could not eat. She could not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Obina's face, cold and distant. Then one day, she heard something that broke her heart even more. Ifinanya was pregnant. Pregnant. The word echoed in her mind like thunder. Adis sat on her bed, staring at the wall. Her friend, Ngozi, came to visit. "My sister," Ngozi said, sitting beside her. "You cannot just let him go like that. Fight for your husband." "How?" "He has already moved on." Ngozi looked around, lowered her voice, and said, "Then make him believe you are pregnant too." Adis blinked. "What?" "Yes. Men like him always come back when they hear their wife is carrying their child. Just pretend, and he will come back. Then you can find a way to make it true later." Adis shook her head. "Ngozi, that's a big lie. Lie or not, do you want your husband back?" Adis was silent. That night, she lay awake, listening to the rats scurry in the ceiling. Her heart burned with pain and jealousy. Ifunanya was pregnant. If Yunanya would give Obina what she could not. The next morning, Addis wrapped a pillow around her waist, wore a loose gown, and went out. When people saw her, they gasped. Addis, you are pregnant. She smiled shyly, pretending to blush. Yes, oh, it happened by God's grace. News spread fast in Ajigona. Within days, even Obina heard about it. He came back one evening, suspicious but curious. Is it true? He asked, standing in the doorway, his eyes scanning her. Addis placed her hand on her stomach and nodded. Yes, Obina. You are going to be a father. For a moment, she saw something soften in his face. He stepped closer. Are you sure? Yes. The doctor confirmed it. He exhaled slowly. Maybe this is a sign from God. Addis' heart leaped. She knew it was working. She smiled and said softly, welcome home. And just like that, Obina stayed. For weeks, things felt good again. They cooked together, laughed, and even prayed before sleeping. Addis was careful with her fake pregnancy, stuffing her wrapper just enough to look real but not too big. Every time Obina touched her stomach, she would smile and say, the baby kicked. He would laugh and say, that's my boy. But lies have legs, they always run faster than truth. One afternoon, as Addis returned from the market, she saw a strange old woman sitting by her door. She wore a tattered wrapper and had grey hair that looked like dry grass. Good afternoon, Mama, Addis greeted politely. The old woman looked up, her eyes bright and sharp. Good afternoon, Addis, she said in a voice that sounded like rustling leaves. Addis froze. She had never seen the woman before. Do I know you? The old woman smiled. Not yet. But I know you. I know your secret. Addis' heart skipped. What do you mean? The woman pointed at Addis' stomach. You carry nothing. Yet soon, you will carry something. Addis frowned. I don't understand. The woman leaned closer, her breath smelling of palm wine and herbs. The spirits do not like lies. You pretended to be with child. Now, they will give you one, but not the kind you want. Ben. Addis laughed nervously. Mama, please stop talking like that. I don't know what you are saying. But the woman only smiled again, showing brown teeth. When the wind changes, you will remember me. Then she stood up and walked away, humming a strange tune. That night, Addis couldn't sleep. The woman's words echoed in her head. The spirits will give you one. She turned and saw Obina snoring beside her. It's just a dream, she whispered to herself. Just an old woman talking nonsense. Days turned into weeks. Her fake belly grew bigger. Everyone believed she was 8 months pregnant. She even started wearing maternity gowns. Then one night, something strange happened. She woke up to a soft humming, the same tune the old woman had sung. The air felt heavy, like rain was about to fall. Her stomach tingled, and when she placed her hand there, she felt a faint movement. Her eyes widened. It couldn't be real. She pressed her hand again. Another movement. Stronger this time. Jesus, she whispered. What is that? The humming grew louder. The window curtain swayed even though there was no breeze. The oil lamp flickered. Addis shook Obina awake. Obina. Wake up. Something is happening. He turned sleepily. What is it? My stomach. It's moving. Obina blinked, confused. Of course, it's moving. That means the baby is healthy. No, Obina. I'm not, she stopped herself. He sat up, smiling. You see. I told you God would bless us. Just rest, my wife. Everything is fine. He kissed her forehead and lay back down. But Addis could not rest. She stayed awake, hand pressed to her belly, feeling the impossible movements inside her. When morning came, she rushed to Ngozi's shop. Ngozi. Something is wrong. Ngozi was arranging tomatoes in baskets. What is it again? My stomach, it's moving. Like something is inside for real. Ngozi laughed. Oh, you are funny. You are the one that started pretending. Maybe now you are starting to believe your own lie. I'm serious. Addis snapped. I felt something. It's real. Ngozi's smile faded. Wait. Are you sure? Yes. And the old woman I saw, she said the spirits would give me a child. Ngozi crossed herself. Tufiokwa. My friend, you better go to church. This is not ordinary. Addis nodded weakly. I will. But she never got the chance. Because that evening, when she looked in the mirror, her belly moved again, this time in slow, deliberate waves, like something crawling under her skin. And then she heard the whisper. Why did you lie, Addis? The voice came from her stomach. Her blood turned to ice. She stumbled backward, knocking over the stool and the water pot. Her heart pounded so loud she thought it would burst. Who are you? She cried. What do you want from me? The whisper came again, chilling and calm. You wanted a child. Now you have one. The oil lamp flickered out. And in the darkness, something moved inside her belly, stretching, twisting, alive. Addis screamed until her voice broke. And that was the night everything changed. When Addis opened her eyes, she was lying on the cold cement floor of her room. Morning sunlight poured through the small window, and the smell of spilled palm oil filled the air. Her head ached badly, and for a moment, she could not remember what had happened. Then she looked down, and froze. Her stomach was still. Completely still. No, she whispered shakily, pressing her palm against her belly. It felt normal, flat again. The movements were gone, the whisper silent. For a moment she thought maybe she had dreamt everything. Maybe the fear, the noise, the whisper, it was all her imagination. But then, as she stood up slowly, she saw something that made her heart skip a beat. On the floor, next to the broken pieces of the clay pot, was a wet handprint. Small. Childlike. But it shimmered faintly, as though made from light. Addis' mouth went dry. Obina, she called weakly. There was no answer. She looked around, the bed was empty. Obina must have left early for work. She walked toward the door, avoiding the strange handprint. The moment she stepped outside, the compound came alive with noise. Women fetching water, children chasing one another, the smell of fried akara filling the air. But Addis felt separate. Like she didn't belong anymore. When she reached Mama Nena's store, the old woman looked up at her and frowned. You look pale, Addis. Are you sick? Addis tried to smile. I didn't sleep well. You and your husband are always quarreling again. No, Mama. We are fine. Mama Nena clicked her tongue. Good. Because last night, I heard something strange from your room. Like crying and laughing together. I even thought you were in labor. Addis' stomach twisted. Labor? Yes, oh. Around midnight. I said to myself, oh, maybe Addis' time has come. But I didn't want to intrude. Addis forced a weak laugh. It was nothing, Mama. Just bad dreams. Dreams can carry messages, my daughter. You should pray. Addis nodded quickly and walked away, her legs trembling. At Balagan Market, she couldn't focus. Customers came and went, but her mind kept returning to the whisper she'd heard. Why did you lie, Addis? The voice was so real, so cold. By evening, she decided she needed help. Real help. She went to St. Teresa's Church at the edge of Ajigona, where Father Is prayed for women trying to conceive. When she arrived, the church was quiet. A few candles flickered near the altar. The priest looked up as she entered. "Adiz, my daughter," he said kindly. "It's been long since I saw you. How is your husband?" She hesitated. "He is fine, Father. But I need prayers." He nodded. "What troubles you?" She took a deep breath. "Father, I told a lie. I pretended to be pregnant to win my husband back. But now, something strange is happening to me." The priest's face grew serious. "What kind of strange?" She looked down. "At first, I felt movement in my belly. But I am not pregnant." Then, I heard the voice. The priest leaned forward. "The voice?" "Yes. From my stomach. It asked me why I lied." For a moment, Father Is said nothing. He closed his eyes and made the sign of the cross. "My child, you may have opened a spiritual door through your deceit. The spirits of truth and life do not mix with lies." Tears filled Adi's eyes. "Father, I didn't mean for this to happen. I just wanted my husband back." He sighed deeply. "You must confess your sin, and then you must make peace with your husband through honesty. Lies cannot protect love, Adiz." She nodded, wiping her tears. "I will, Father." He prayed for her, sprinkling holy water on her head. For a moment, she felt calm again. But as she turned to leave, the candles flickered violently, and a sudden gust of wind blew through the church. The priest gasped. "Father," Adiz whispered. He looked toward her belly. "Adiz, your stomach just moved." She froze. "What?" He stepped closer, his eyes wide. "I saw it. It moved, like something inside you is pushing." Adiz screamed and fell to her knees. The priest began to pray loudly in Igbo, his voice echoing through the church. "Choku Okaik. Deliver your daughter from every spirit of deceit and darkness." Adiz's body started shaking. Her stomach rippled like waves, moving in strange patterns under her gown. The priest sprinkled more holy water, shouting, "Holy Spirit, take control." Then, suddenly, everything stopped. The air went still. Adiz opened her eyes. Is it gone?" The priest nodded slowly. "For now. But Adiz, you must not lie again. Go home and tell your husband the truth." She nodded, trembling. "I will." When she returned home that evening, Obina was sitting on the wooden bench outside, scrolling through his phone. He looked up as she approached. "Where have you been all day?" he asked. "I went to church," she replied quietly. He frowned. "Church? Why?" She took a deep breath. "Obina, there's something I need to tell you." He sighed, pocketing his phone. "What is it now?" She hesitated, her voice shaking. "I'm not really pregnant." Obina blinked. "What did you just say?" "I lied. I pretended to be pregnant because I wanted you back. I was afraid of losing you." He stared at her for a long moment, his face unreadable. Then he stood up slowly. "So all this time, Adiz, all this time, you've been deceiving me." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I'm sorry, Obina. Please, I didn't mean to hurt you." He turned away, pacing back and forth. "You made a fool of me. You made the whole neighborhood laugh behind my back. Obina, please." He raised his hand, stopping her. "Don't touch me." His voice was cold. "I'm leaving." Her heart dropped. "No. Please, Obina." But he was already walking toward the gate. Adiz fell to her knees, sobbing. "I'm sorry. Please don't go." He didn't look back. That night, Adiz lay on the bed alone, staring at the ceiling. The room felt emptier than ever. The silence pressed against her chest like a weight. Then, around midnight, she heard it again. That same humming tune. She sat up quickly. The air grew cold, and the window curtains swayed even though the air was still. "No," she whispered. "Not again." The humming grew louder. The oil lamp flickered. Then, 3 soft knocks on the door. Knock. 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 Addis froze. Her heart pounded. "Who is there?" she called. No answer. "Obina. Is that you?" Still silence. She slowly got up, her legs trembling. She reached for the door handle and turned it. The door creaked open. Outside, no one was there. Only the dark compound and the moonlight shining on the sand. Then she looked down and saw them. Tiny, wet footprints leading from the doorway into her room. Her breath caught in her throat. She followed the prints slowly. They stopped beside her bed. She bent down to look closer, and that was when she heard it again. The whisper. "Why did you lie, Addis?" She spun around, eyes wide with terror. And standing at the far corner of the room was a small figure. A child. Barefoot. Eyes glowing faintly like embers. Addis' scream tore through the night. Addis' scream echoed through the compound, loud enough to make the neighbors stir in their sleep. But when Mama Nene came out to check, she saw only darkness and heard nothing but the sound of a distant dog barking. Addis' room was quiet again. Dead quiet. Inside, Addis stood frozen in the middle of the room, her eyes locked on the figure in the corner. It looked like a small child, no more than 5 years old, with pale skin that seemed to glow under the flickering oil lamp. Its eyes, red and bright like burning coal, watched her without blinking. Addis trembled. Who are you?" she stammered. The child tilted its head slowly, almost curiously. "You called for me," it said softly. The voice was that same whisper she had heard in her belly. "You wanted a child." Addis stepped back, shaking her head. No, I didn't mean this. I only pretended." The child smiled, a slow, airy smile that didn't reach its eyes. "Lies have life, Addis. And now, your lie has become flesh." Her heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear her own breath. "What do you want from me?" The child took one step forward, its tiny feet making no sound on the floor. "You wanted love. You will give me yours." Addis screamed again, lunging for the door, but it slammed shut on its own, the lock twisting violently. The oil lamp went out, plunging the room into darkness. She could hear it moving toward her, soft footsteps, slow and steady. She pressed herself against the wall, her hands searching for anything to defend herself. Her fingers brushed against the broom. She grabbed it and swung wildly. "Stay away from me," she shouted. But when the light suddenly flickered back to life, the child was gone. The door creaked open by itself, and the night breeze flowed in. Addis dropped the broom, panting, tears streaming down her face. "What is happening to me?" she whispered. She ran out of the room barefoot and didn't stop until she reached Ngozi's house 2 streets away. She banged on the metal gate until Ngozi came out, sleepy and alarmed. "Addis. What happened? Why are you here this night?" Addis grabbed her arm, trembling. "Ngozi, something is in my house. A child. It spoke to me." Ngozi blinked, confused. "A child? Which child?" "I don't know. It said it came from my lie." Ngozi frowned. "Wait, Addis, are you sure you're not just dreaming?" "I'm not. I saw it with my eyes." Ngozi pulled her inside quickly. Okay. Calm down. Sit down first. Let me get you water." As Addis sat, she couldn't stop shaking. Ngozi returned with a cup of water, and Addis drank it quickly. Ngozi sighed. My friend, you are scaring me. Maybe what you need is not prayer but rest. You have been under too much stress. No, Ngozi, Adis whispered. Something spiritual is happening. The priest told me I opened the door. Ngozi bit her lip, uncertain. Okay. Tomorrow morning, we'll go and see Mama Ijeoma. She's a prayer woman. She deals with these kinds of things. Adis nodded weakly. Please. I can't stay alone tonight. Ngozi nodded and let her sleep in her sitting room. But Adis didn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the child's glowing eyes. By morning, the two women made their way to Ijora, where Mama Ijeoma's prayer house stood, a small white building with a red cross painted on the door. The air smelled of incense and palm oil. Mama Ijeoma, a tall, strong woman with sharp eyes, welcomed them inside. Who among you is troubled? Adis raised her hand shakily. It's me, Mama. Speak. Adis told her everything, from the fake pregnancy to the whispering voice and the strange child. The old woman listened in silence, her eyes closed as though seeing things beyond the room. When Adis finished, Mama Ijeoma opened her eyes. She said quietly. You have indeed called something forth. Adis' heart raced. What do you mean? When you tied that pillow to your waist and declared yourself pregnant, you didn't just tell a lie. You made a declaration. The spirits of the unseen world heard you. Some spirits take words seriously, Adis. You said you carried a child, and one answered you. Adis' mouth went dry. A spirit child. Mama Ijeoma nodded. Yes. A spirit that feeds on deceit. It is not human, but it can take human form. Ngozi gasped. Yezu. Mama, what can we do? The old woman stood up slowly and went to a small wooden chest. She brought out a white candle, a small bottle of holy oil, and a bowl of salt. We must perform cleansing prayers. Tonight. Before midnight. Adis' hands trembled. Please, Mama, I will do anything. Good. But remember, truth must come first. You must destroy every sign of your lie. The pillow, the gowns, everything you used to pretend. Adis nodded quickly. Go now, Mama Ijeoma said. Return before sunset. Back at home, Adis gathered all the things connected to her lie, the pillow she tied around her belly, the wrappers she stuffed inside her gowns, the fake maternity dresses. She threw them in a pile outside the house. She lit a match and dropped it on the heap. The fire caught quickly, flames licking the air. She watched as smoke rose, black and thick, carrying away her shame. Then she saw it through the smoke. A small figure standing just beyond the flames. The same child. Its eyes glowed faintly in the haze. You can't burn me, it whispered. Adis screamed and stumbled backward, her heart pounding. The flames flickered higher for a moment and then went out suddenly, leaving behind only ashes. The child was gone. Shaking, Adis fell to her knees, clutching her chest. God, please save me, she whispered. That night, as promised, she and Ngozi went back to Mama Ijeoma's prayer house. The woman was waiting, the candle already burning. She sprinkled salt in a circle around Adis and began to pray, her voice strong and deep. Every spirit that was caught by lies, every shadow born from deceit, leave this woman now. Adis closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face. The candlelight flickered wildly, and a strong wind swept through the room even though the windows were shut. Mama Ijeoma kept praying, louder now. You have no right here. Return to where you came from. Suddenly, Adis' body stiffened. She gasped, clutching her stomach. It's moving again, she cried. Ngozi screamed, backing away. Mama. Her belly. Adis' stomach swelled right before their eyes, round and full, as though she were truly pregnant. Jesus Christ! Ngozi shouted. Mama Ijeoma didn't stop praying. Spirit of falsehood, be gone. Adi screamed in agony as something pressed from inside her, like claws scraping against her skin. The candle flames turned blue, and the holy oil spilled on its own. Then, suddenly, Adi's stomach deflated. The wind stopped. Silence filled the room. She collapsed, breathing heavily. Mama Ijeoma wiped sweat from her forehead. It is not over, she said quietly. That spirit will try again. It is bound to you through your lie. Adis could barely speak. Then what must I do? You must confess publicly, the old woman said. Tell your husband, your neighbors, everyone you deceived. Only the truth can break its hold. Adi stared at her in horror. Publicly? Yes. Only then will the spirit lose power. Tears filled Adi's eyes. She imagined the shame, the laughter, the whispers of the neighbors. But she also remembered that voice, the cold whisper from her belly. She nodded slowly. I will do it. The next morning, the compound was full of people washing clothes, cooking, and chatting as usual. Adi stood in the middle of the courtyard, trembling. Mama Nena was frying akara. Children played nearby. Obina was not there, he hadn't returned since their last fight. Adis cleared her throat and shouted, Everybody, please. I need to say something. The neighbors turned to look at her, surprised. Adis took a deep breath, her voice shaking. I lied to all of you. I was never pregnant. Gasps filled the air. Women stopped what they were doing. A baby started crying somewhere. I did it because I wanted my husband back, Adis continued, tears streaming down her cheeks. But my lie has brought me nothing but pain. I am sorry to all of you. The compound fell silent. Then someone murmured, Huh. I knew it. Another laughed softly. So she deceived us all this time. Adis bowed her head in shame. But as she stood there, she felt something, a strange lightness in her chest, like a heavy burden lifting. She wiped her tears. It's over, she whispered to herself. But that was when she heard it again. The humming. Soft. Behind her. She turned slowly, and saw the small child standing at the gate. Smiling. You told the truth, it said, tilting its head. But now, Adis, can you live with what the truth brings? Before she could speak, the child vanished into thin air. And at that exact moment, someone shouted from the street, Obina. Look at him. He's hurt. Adis spun around. Her heart dropped. It was Obina, covered in blood, being carried by two men from the junction. She screamed and ran toward him. Obina. Adis screamed as she ran toward the men carrying her husband. Blood covered his shirt and trickled down his arm. His head lowered to one side, and his eyes were barely open. What happened to him? She cried, grabbing one of the men's shoulders. One of them, a neighbor named Uche, answered breathlessly, he had an accident. A downfall hit his Okada near Boundary bus stop. Adis' heart almost stopped. Chinik. No, 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 please. They laid him on the ground in the middle of the compound. The neighbors gathered quickly, whispering and gasping. Mama Nena rushed forward, clutching her chest. I told him to stop riding that motorbike like a madman. Adis dropped to her knees beside him. Obina, can you hear me? He groaned softly. Adis. I'm here. I'm here, my husband, she cried, pressing his hand against her face. Hospital. Uche shouted. Let's carry him to the hospital now before it's too late. Two men helped lift Obina into a kikinepep while Adis climbed in beside him. Tears streamed down her face as they sped off toward the nearest clinic. The ride felt endless. She held Obina's hand tightly, whispering prayers under her breath. Please, God. Don't take him from me. Not now. When they arrived, nurses rushed out to take him inside. Addis waited outside the ward, pacing back and forth, her heart pounding. An hour later, the doctor came out. He was a tall man with tired eyes. Madam Addis. Yes. How is he? She asked quickly. He's alive, but he lost a lot of blood. We stopped the bleeding and stitched the wound on his head. He needs rest, but he'll recover. Addis burst into tears of relief. Thank you, doctor. Thank you. The doctor gave her a small smile. He's lucky. Another inch, and he would not have made it. When Addis was allowed inside, Obinna was asleep. She sat beside his bed, brushing his hair gently. He looked weak and pale, but he was breathing steadily. I'm sorry, she whispered. I've caused you enough pain already. But I promise, I'll make things right. As she sat there, she thought about the strange child and the things it had said. Can you live with what the truth brings? The words echoed in her mind. Was this accident punishment for her lie, or a test for her truth? Obinna woke up that evening. When his eyes opened, the first thing he saw was Addis' face. She smiled weakly. You're awake. He blinked, confused. Where am I? In the hospital. You were hit by a downfall. He frowned slightly, then tried to sit up. Oh, my head. Don't move too much, she said softly. Just rest. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then he looked at her, his eyes filled with something between anger and sadness. Why are you here, Addis? She swallowed hard. Because you're my husband. He turned away. Husband. The same husband you lied to. The one you deceived with fake pregnancy. Tears welled up in her eyes. I confessed, Obinna. I told everyone. I told you. I know I hurt you, but I've suffered too. Strange things have been happening to me since that lie. I don't even sleep at night anymore. He looked back at her, his expression softening a little. You think that's punishment? Yes, she whispered. And now, this, your accident, it feels like my fault too. Obinna sighed heavily. Addis, I don't know what to say. I was angry, but seeing you cry like this, he paused, staring at her trembling hands. Maybe we both lost our way. Addis nodded slowly. Can we start again? Please. He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded faintly. Let's see how things go. For now, I need to rest. Relief flooded her heart. Thank you, she said, holding his hand gently. But just as she did, a cold wind blew through the ward, strong enough to make the curtain flap wildly. The fluorescent lights flickered, then steadied. Obinna shivered. Did you feel that? Addis froze. Her skin prickled. The air suddenly smelled faintly of smoke. Obinna, she whispered, I think it's here again. He frowned. What's here? Before she could answer, they both heard it. That same humming tune. Soft. Childlike. Obinna sat up slightly, his face pale. Addis, where's that sound coming from? The light flickered again. Addis' heart pounded. She turned toward the doorway, and there it was. The child. Standing silently in the hall, eyes glowing faintly under the hospital light. Its little hand clutched a burnt piece of cloth, the same pattern as the maternity gown Addis had burned. Obinna's mouth fell open. What is that? Addis whispered, it's the spirit I told you about. The one from my lie. The child took a slow step forward. You tried to destroy me, it said softly. But I am part of you now. Obinna grabbed Addis' hand tightly. We need to get out of here. But the child's eyes glowed brighter. You can't run from truth. The lights went out completely. Darkness swallowed the room. Adi screamed, "Leave us alone." From the darkness came the child's voice again, calm, echoing, "Close. You said you wanted him back. Now you both belong to me." Obina gasped. Adis could feel him shaking beside her. She groped for her phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness and illuminated the child standing right beside the bed. It was smiling. Before Adis could react, the glass of the bedside lamp shattered on its own. The nurse outside shouted, "What's happening in there?" Then, silence. The light on Adis' phone flickered and went out. Obina's voice came, trembling. "Adis, are you there?" "Yes." "Don't move," she whispered, reaching for him. But her hand touched something cold. Not his skin, something icy, small, and soft. A tiny hand. Adis screamed and dropped her phone. It hit the floor with a loud crack. The lights flickered back on, and she saw it, just for a second. The child was sitting on Obina's chest, staring straight at her. Then it vanished. Obina gasped, clutching his chest, his face pale as chalk. It was on me," he whispered. Adis ran to him. "Obina. Are you okay?" He nodded weakly. "It said something to me." Adis froze. "What did it say?" He looked at her with wide, terrified eyes. "It said, 'She lied, but you believed.'" The nurses rushed in just then, asking what had happened. But Adis couldn't answer. Her heart pounded too hard. The child was gone, but she knew it wasn't over. Later that night, after Obina was sedated, Adis sat alone outside the hospital on a wooden bench. The night was quiet except for the sound of passing cars. She stared at the stars, tears glistening on her cheeks. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. She opened it and froze. It was a photo of her and Obina inside the hospital room. The child was standing right behind them, smiling. Adis' breath caught. She looked around quickly, but the compound was empty. Another message came through. "You told the truth, Adis. Now tell the whole truth." Her fingers trembled as she typed back, "What truth? What do you want from me?" A few seconds later, a new message appeared. "You lied to save your marriage. But what about the lie you told before that?" Adis' stomach twisted. "What lie?" she whispered. Her phone buzzed again. "Ask Obina about the night you lost your first baby." The phone slipped from her hand. "No," she whispered. "That's impossible. Nobody knows about that." But she was wrong. Someone, or something, did. And now it wanted the truth. The night air felt heavy, pressing down on Adis' chest as she sat outside the hospital. The buzzing of mosquitoes filled her ears, but she barely noticed. The last message still glowed on her phone screen. "Ask Obina about the night you lost your first baby." Her hands shook so badly she almost dropped the phone again. The words made her heart pound harder than ever. That night, that dark, buried memory, she had sworn never to speak of it again. "No one knew," she whispered. "No one. But now, someone, did." She pressed the phone to her chest and stared at the hospital window where Obina lay sleeping. Could it be true? Could this spirit, this thing haunting her, really know what happened that night? Or was it trying to break her completely? She stood slowly, her legs weak. "I have to know," she murmured. The next morning, Adis sat beside Obina's bed. The sun filtered through the window, painting pale lines on the floor. Obina looked stronger, though his head was still bandaged. When he opened his eyes, he saw Adis watching him. "Good morning," he said quietly. She forced a smile. "Good morning." They sat in silence for a moment before Adis spoke again, her voice trembling. "Obina, there's something I need to ask you. Something from before. He frowned. Before what? Before the fake pregnancy. Before everything went wrong. She swallowed hard. Do you remember the night we lost our first baby? Obina's eyes darkened instantly. He looked away. Why are you bringing that up now? Because, someone, told me to ask. He turned sharply to face her. What do you mean someone told you? Who? The spirit. The one that's been haunting me, she said, her voice cracking. It said I should ask you about that night. Obina's face went pale. What are you talking about, Addis? That night was an accident. She shook her head slowly. Was it? His jaw tightened. You're talking nonsense. No, she whispered. You were drinking that night, Obina. You came home late. I was 8 months pregnant, remember? I begged you not to go out, but you left. And when you came back, her voice faltered. Obina looked away, his hands clenched tightly. Stop. You were angry, she said, tears spilling down her cheeks. We fought. You pushed me. I fell. Obina's face twisted with pain. Addis, please. I fell hard on the floor, she continued, sobbing now. And I lost the baby that night. You told everyone it was a miscarriage. You said I slept in the bathroom. But it was you, Obina. It was your hand. The room fell silent. Even the humming machines seemed to pause. Obina's eyes filled with tears. He buried his face in his hands. I didn't mean to, he whispered. God knows I didn't mean to. I was drunk, angry. I didn't know what I was doing. When I saw you bleeding, I wanted to die. Addis wiped her tears, her voice trembling. And I kept your secret. I lied to everyone. I even lied to myself. Because I loved you. Obina nodded slowly, shame written all over his face. I know. And I've been carrying that guilt every day since. Maybe this, whatever is haunting you, maybe it's because of that lie. Addis looked at him, her eyes wide with realization. The spirit said it was born from my deceit, but maybe it wasn't just about the fake pregnancy. Maybe it's the truth we both buried. Obina's breathing quickened. You think it's the spirit of that child? Addis hesitated, then whispered, yes. At that moment, the fluorescent light flickered again. A cold wind swept through the room, rustling the curtain. Obina looked around, terrified. Addis, what's happening? She stood up, her eyes darting to the door. It's here. The humming began, soft at first, then louder. And then the lights went out. The room plunged into darkness. The only sound was the steady beeping of the heart monitor. Addis clutched Obina's hand tightly. Then came the voice. Now you remember. The air grew colder. A faint glow appeared near the foot of the bed, the small, pale child stepping out of the shadows. But this time, it wasn't smiling. Its face was solemn, its eyes filled with something that almost looked like sadness. Addis' voice trembled. Who are you? The child tilted its head. I am the truth you buried. I am the life that was taken. Obina gasped, his whole body shaking. No, no, please. The child's voice echoed softly. You called me back with lies. Your deceit gave me a voice. But truth brings me peace. Addis took a shaky step forward. What do you want from us? The child looked up at her, eyes glowing faintly. You both must forgive. And speak the truth to the world. Only then will I rest. Tears streamed down Addis' face. We will, she whispered. We'll tell everything. Obina nodded, weeping. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, my child. Forgive me. The child's expression softened. Truth is freedom. Then, slowly, it began to fade, its body turning to light, shimmering softly before disappearing completely. The room grew still. The air felt lighter, warmer. The lights came back on. Addis and Obinna looked at each other, both trembling and crying. "It's over," Obinna whispered. "I think it's really over." Addis nodded slowly. "Yes. But now we must do what it asked. We must tell the truth." 2 days later, the entire compound gathered in front of Addis and Obinna's house. News had spread that they wanted to confess something publicly. Addis stood beside her husband, her hands shaking but her heart steady. Obinna's bandage still covered his head, but his eyes were clear. "My people," Addis began, her voice trembling. "You all know me as Addis, the woman who pretended to be pregnant. But that lie was only the beginning. There was another truth we hid, a darker one." She paused, then continued. "Years ago, I lost a baby. We told everyone it was an accident. But the truth is, it happened after a fight between me and my husband. He pushed me in anger. He didn't mean to, but it happened." Gasps filled the air. Women covered their mouths, whispering in shock. Obinna stepped forward. "I have lived with that guilt for years. I let her carry the shame alone. But no more. I'm sorry for what I did. I was weak, foolish, and cruel. But I thank God for giving us another chance to speak the truth and be free." For a long moment, the compound was silent. Then Mama Nena, the old akara seller, spoke softly. "Truth is painful, but it heals." Another neighbor nodded. "You both were brave to speak." One by one, people began to murmur words of forgiveness. Some even clapped. Addis held Obinna's hand tightly, her tears falling freely, but this time, they were tears of release. As they turned to go inside, a cool breeze swept through the compound, gentle and soft. Addis felt it brush against her face, and for just a second, she thought she heard it. The faint laughter of a child, drifting away with the wind. She smiled through her tears. "Rest well, my baby." Obinna put his arm around her. "Let's start again." And together, they walked back inside, leaving behind the weight of their lies, and the spirit that had haunted them both. But as the door closed, Addis' phone buzzed once more. She looked down, frowning. It was another message. "Truth brings peace. But remember, not all lies sleep forever." The screen flickered, and the phone switched off by itself. Addis froze. The window curtain swayed though there was no wind. And faintly, almost too softly to hear, came a familiar humming tune.